Hi, this is a demo about a app I have developed called the Socratic Engine. My name is Ashok Palniappan. Learners should be able to apply their knowledge and create new knowledge, new ideas, and new applications. To be able to translate knowledge into action, the knowledge must be firmly crystallized in the learner's mind. For this, a sort of a helper bot that leads the learner with leading questions would be very useful, so the learner can probe the boundary of their knowledge. And where there are gaps, the bot can diagnose those and point the learner to fill those gaps. And where the learner gets it right, then the engine or the bot could challenge the learner on deeper concepts, so on and so forth, till the learner has acquired a complete mastery of the material. So in order to fill the space for this assessment, we have designed the Socratic Engine. So this is where the Socratic Engine steps in, and it's a cog in the overall framework of the Synthese Matrix for learner empowerment. So this is like we acquire the knowledge and then we need to apply it, and then let's say evaluate it and then find some gaps. So in this application phase, we need to evaluate or probe the boundary of our knowledge. And so this is where it fits in with the overall framework, and it also stands by on its own. So all we need to do is just key in a topic or a concept or even an entire syllabus, and from that input, the Socratic Engine will devise or formulate a session where our knowledge in this chosen area is systematically tested for its boundary and pushed further where possible, and gaps filled where identified. So all we have to do here is provide a difficulty level, and here it is intermediate, and you can also go to foundational or a beginner or introductory, and then you can also go to on the right side we can go all the way till champion. So we can set the difficulty somewhere in the middle, intermediate, and then based on our responses, the Socratic Engine will automatically calibrate the difficulty either to a notch above if you are doing well, or a notch below if you're not doing so well. Ensure that we have the concept at a lower level at least very clear. Now there are some interesting features that it has here. For every answer, Socratic Engine not only grades the correctness, but it also sees how confident we are of the answer, and it measures confidence times the correctness to yield a new metric, right? So if we are sure and we get it right, nothing like that. But if you are sure and you get it wrong, then we are just wrong-headed, maybe. That is, it's a serious misconception somewhere in our understanding, and that has to be diagnosed properly and highlighted. So therefore, adding this confidence along with the correctness provides this particular diagnosis. So let's just see a demo of this. The example given here is just a single word photosynthesis, and we'll just stick with that and see what happens. And for now, I'm turning off this timed fluency mode. Basically, it's another measure of fluency. If you can answer well, quickly, and you get it right, then it's you're very confident and you do it right. If you just exhaust your time, right, so this is a sprint, just 15 seconds, you think and think for 120 seconds, you're very thoughtful, and still you get it wrong, or you don't answer, then the confidence is very low, and moreover you get it wrong, and then your score would fall. Alright, we'll just switch those off for the demo, and we'll begin the assessment on photosynthesis, and let's see how this works. So now we have a dashboard, accuracy, answered, correct, and what is the level and what is the peak. So it maintains a dashboard of the history of the sessions, so the next time I come it can load the previous session as well. So what is the primary purpose of photosynthesis in plants? And it's just like under the topic understanding the main function of photosynthesis, and we can say to convert light energy into chemical energy stored in glucose maybe. Now it also has a Socratic hint to nudges, so there are these nudges as well, and these are some nice things about the Socratic engine. Let's see the nudge here. Think about what plants need to survive and grow. They need some chemical energy. What form of energy do they capture? Light energy. And how do they transform it? So this looks like B is the right one. Let's lock it in, and it is correct. So how confident are you? I'm certain of this answer. So now it's trying to prepare some feedback. So it's exactly right, and it gives a 5/5 confidence, is well calibrated as well, and it provides another layer of explanation here. Photosynthesis transforms the electromagnetic energy, that is light, into chemical potential energy, making sunlight's energy accessible to nearly all life on Earth through the food chain. So we can go to a next question. Since we got it right, it's going to calibrate the difficulty level, and you see it moves up a notch from 5/10 to 6/10, right? And so far I've answered one, got it right, and my accuracy is 100%. So the more I answer, this is going to drop down. So during photosynthesis, water molecules are split in a process called photolysis. So where does this occur, right? That's a tough one. I'm not an expert on photosynthesis. So this could be the thylakoid membrane. So maybe I'll take a Socratic hint. Where light energy is captured in the chloroplast, in the thylakoid, right? So which structure contains the photosystems that absorb light? So probably the thylakoid. So let's lock it in. I'm not certain, but I'm like somewhat sure. So let's see what it says. So excellent, I got that right as well. And so it's thylakoid membrane isn't just a location, it's organized so that photolysis on one side creates a proton gradient across the membrane that powers the ATP synthesis. All right, so far so good. Let's just try a little while longer. So I've moved up the difficulty automatically 7/10. So let's try to get at least one wrong and see what it does, right? And put the Socratic method in reverse gear. All right, so light-dependent reactions produce ATP and NADPH, which are then used in the Calvin cycle. Explain why plants can't simply use ATP from cellular respiration for the Calvin cycle, which basically produces glucose from carbon dioxide, right? Instead of generating new ATP through photosynthesis. Right, so that's a tough question. I've really never thought about it much. So let's say can't simply use ATP from cellular respiration, right? Because the energy from the splitting of water is not available in this process. So from the splitting of water, that energy could be channeled to make the ATP. So let's just write that. The splitting of water yields energy that could be channeled to produce ATP. So you see, it asks like different modes of questions. So this is a free-form answer. Let's take a Socratic hint. Each cell where each process occurs, right? And what unique molecule besides ATP does the Calvin cycle require that the cellular respiration doesn't produce? So that's a great hint. So further, we can say the Calvin cycle also requires CO2, which is not available from cellular respiration, because here only the oxygen is produced. So let's try to lock it in. I'm very uncertain of this answer, so let's see. So there is some points covered here. So a free-form answer is split into two analysis. What are the points covered and what are the points missed? So this is a good demonstration of that. So there is a implicit acknowledgement that photosynthesis produces its own ATP, though the reasoning is flawed. So points missed: compartmentalization, Calvin cycle occurs in chloroplast stroma, separate from mitochondria, where most ATP from from respiration is produced, right? So the stroma does not have access to the mitochondria, and the NADPH requirement again is produced only in the light reactions, not in cellular respiration. So again, like similar to what we said about ATP, but applies to NADPH. So there's a localized energy production, and that's the answer. It's not about the CO2 necessary for the production of glucose, apparently. Though that is the purpose of the Calvin cycle. So I appreciate your honest uncertainty. Okay, so self-awareness is valuable, right? So you're right that water splitting releases energy, but here's the key misconception: that energy doesn't directly make ATP, right? Okay. It provides the electrons, that eventually make the ATP through the electron transport chain, which was probably what I was getting at. Though that's a sort of a, I'm just trying to, ramp on like that. But think of it like a hydroelectric dam. The splitting water is like rainfall, and then you need to collect it, and then the turbines need to finally generate the electricity. And regarding CO2, you're correct, it's needed, but that's separate from the ATP question. It's tangential to the ATP question, even though it said, mentioned the Calvin cycle. The issue is that the chloroplasts need their own ATP, obviously, due to the compartmentalization. All right, so ATP is generated locally in chloroplast, and now it gives a gap as well. Confusion about how water splitting energy converts to ATP, right? So and not recognizing the compartmentalization. So it's a very precise diagnosis of where my gaps lay with respect to photosynthesis, and this is a perfect demonstration of this tool. So let's just do one more question, right? So I think it's a very valuable tool for the learner, and now you see I've been pegged back to level 6, and correctly so, right? And my peak was 7/10, and my accuracy has come down as well. So now we are back to a multiple choice. This format I like better, I think. And so, but as we go on to the higher levels, I think more questions will be delivered as a free-form text, not just as a multiple choice. So these are at the left end of the difficulty scale. At the right end, I think we are going to have just like free-form text that is then evaluated by the LLM. All right, that is within the ZAP. Okay, so final question: in C4 plants, Calvin cycle occurs in bundle sheath cells rather than mesophyll cells. What is the primary advantage of the spatial separation? Oh, that's beats me, right? So I'm not really a plant botanist or biologist, but I'm going to guess. Let's see. So C4 plants, I think, have usually grow in hot and dry conditions, let's say desert conditions. So maybe it concentrates the carbon dioxide around the rubisco, right? Maybe that is the reason. I'm going to just try this. So, but photosynthesis cannot occur at night. That's obviously wrong, because you don't have the light energy at that time. So let's take a Socratic hint. So rubisco phases when oxygen concentrations are high relative to CO2, right? So how does concentrating CO2 in specific cells help solve this? So looks like we are on the right track. So and you also see some note here, one concept queued for retesting, because you see the compartmentalization, we got it wrong, or I got it wrong in the last iteration. So it has queued the concept and it will give some space, and after a while it will go back to the same concept and repeat the questions, maybe in a slightly different way. So it's like a ghost that I've created, and the ghost will come back to haunt me. And that's another feature of the Socratic bot, to ensure, you know, a foolproof way that you're a master of this material. And I think that's really wonderful. All right, so and then we can log this, and are we certain? We are somewhat sure. So let's have this feedback and see what happens. So now it says we have nailed the core adaptive advantage of C4. So these plants create a CO2 rich microenvironment around Rubisco, right? All right, so it also tells me that I was very conservative in my confidence score. That's fine, right? And gives you a another overview, right? For the question, a very succinct summary of the concepts at play here. So C4 photosynthesis is essentially a biochemical carbon dioxide pump that trades the extra ATP for near elimination of photorespiration, increasing its efficiency in these desert environments. Right. All right. So I'm going to stop there with this demo, and we can look at a map of what we have done so far. So that's something that becomes available at the end, and you can also see the type of questions that are asked, multiple choice and explained questions. You can go back and create a new session as well. So for the time being, to close this out, let's just look at this map feature, and you can see understanding location of the light dependent and independent reactions, and understanding compartmentalization. So it gives a dashboard like this for the different sub-concepts. It creates a knowledge constellation under photosynthesis and gives our performance standing. So please do share your comments and feedback. Thank you.